For the children. For the children. For the children. What is up, you guys? It is your boy Victor Dawson here, and in this video we are going to be breaking down and talking about WandaVision. Now, you all know WandaVision just came out last Friday on Disney Plus. They gave us episodes 1 and 2, and there were so many things to talk about, and I have to get these things off my chest, you guys, because the Marvel geek and the Marvel fan that I am, I need to come on here and talk to you guys about it. Hopefully y'all comment, let me know what y'all feel about it. I'm probably not going to get every little small detail and every little small Easter egg, but I'm definitely going to talk about what I think was the most eye-catching things and eye-catching Easter eggs to see. So let's get straight into this review, shall we? What's up, you guys? Now, WandaVision. You guys, you all already, before we even start, we have to give tens where tens are due. We have amazing performances from this cast. This cast is amazing. We have Elizabeth Olsen, who has given us a very different role for Scarlet Witch, and she is giving us a very different vast of capabilities of what she can do to portray this character. And then we have Paul Bettany playing Vision, of course, and them to be able to act in each decade and change up their acting style for each decade, and then make it in a sitcom type feel, then go back to action, and then go back to this and that. It is amazing. So you two especially, y'all are freaking rock stars for doing this for Disney. Each show will be each decade. We have did our research and we have figured out that each show, I think we're getting like 9 episodes, and each episode is going to portray a different decade in this reality that Wanda has created for herself in this like pocket reality world. So on the first 2 episodes we go through the 50s and the 60s. On the next episodes it'll be the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and just on from there. So in the very first episode we roll into Wanda and Vision driving into the town of Westview, and it's giving you very I Love Lucy, very Dick Van Dyke type of show, which it is supposed to, because we know that it's based out of the 50s, and the comedy, and remind you, it's full black and white, so it's just giving you, it takes you straight back to that 50s element when you're watching those really good sitcom shows. And we have Wanda and Vision walking into their new place. Vision does the little funny thing where he goes straight through the front door but leaves Wanda behind. But did you also catch how, like, when they were walking in, it's like Wanda was like, okay, you're not going to make this mistake again. And when he phased through another piece of furniture in the living room, she phased through with him. And then she did her little hands like this. So I wonder, like, was that her, like, basically just like, hey, I'm used to this now, so let me just do my little swoop swoop, and then everything will be good. Anyway, that's just me ramming off. We start off with Vision and Wanda having this little banter in the kitchen, and the things that they said, it was a couple little things that made people be like, why did you say that? Like, Wanda's in there using her powers, flying around plates and stuff, getting the kitchen organized, and then Vision's like, look at my wife and the flying saucers, or something to that extent. And then we have her looking at Vision, and she's like, oh, look at my man with, she said something like, look at my man in his indestructible head. Now, you guys, first of all, Disney, this is PG, okay? This is a PG show, and y'all are giving us dark humor. Basically, episode 1 is about how they looked at this date on the calendar that had a marked heart on it. So they're trying to figure out what is the meaning of this. Both of them don't want to tell each other that they don't know what's going on, so they're both trying to act like they know what's going on. Typical sitcom plots. And right after that, we cut into the beautiful Kathryn Hahn playing Agnes. A lot of rumors are speculating that Agnes is short for Agatha Harkness, and Agatha Harkness in the comics, after doing research, is basically a witch in the MCU, and she was in like the Salem witch trials in the comic books. I don't know that much about her, but I do know that she is apparently like a very powerful witch, and apparently she might be working for villain that is being set up in the MCU that people believe to be named Mephisto. Now, Mephisto, after looking and researching him, is this devil of this Marvel devil, and he's like a super villain. He was like, I think, working with Thanos in the comics, and he has a lot to do with so many different plots and so many different people in the MCU and why they had to go through these bad things. So a lot of people are thinking that she might be working for Mephisto, who is like the villain of, I guess, this phase, maybe. I guess he's like the Thanos of phase 4. I'm not sure. Now, Kathryn Hahn is playing this character's comedic role to a T. We have Agnes, aka Agatha, walking into the house. She is trying to get the lay of the land. She's asking Wanda so many questions so quick. She's trying to ask her, who are you? Why are you here? Are you married? Do you have children? She's asking her all these questions real quick. Wanda doesn't know how to really respond, and basically Agatha to me is like, she's a villain. In my mind, she's a villain, and I think she's in this pocket reality as herself. I don't think Wanda has created her in any type of way, shape, or form. I think she is in this reality as herself, and I think she's trying to make Wanda do certain things in this pocket reality that benefit her and Mephisto. That's what I think is kind of going on. So I'm not sure yet. We're only on the first 2 episodes. So anyway, Agatha has basically convinced Wanda that this whole 25th date or 23rd, whatever the date is, she trying to convince her that maybe it's their anniversary. So Wanda sticks to that after Agatha puts it in her mind. We then flash forward to Vision at work. He then realizes why there was a heart on the 25th on their calendar in August, and it is because his boss, whose name is Mr. Hart, told him that they will be going to him and Wanda's house for dinner. I don't know why they couldn't just put, Mr. Hart dinner, or dinner with the Heart. Vision calls Wanda. Are you getting prepared for tonight? And Wanda's like, yes, of course I'm getting prepared for tonight, honey. Yes, I am. Don't worry about anything. I got everything under control. Oh, he really knows what's going on, but at this point, Wanda doesn't know. So, of course, sitcom world, funny. We then flash forward to them actually having dinner with the Heart. Wanda is still thinking it's anniversary. She got her negligee on, honey. She's trying to get sexy for the girls, and she's trying to surprise Vision, but then she does realize it's not Vision, it's the Hearts. Of course, funny little sitcom moment. So after Wanda realizes what is going on, she's like, oh crap. So she goes in the kitchen, she goes and change, and then she starts trying to cook this dinner. Wanda don't know how to cook. She's just flying around things. She don't know what she's doing. So then all of a sudden, Agatha, aka Agnes, pulls up, and there she go with that fast talking again, pulls up with all these different ingredients, and she's telling her what she needs to make. And then also another thing that I forgot to mention, y'all see how she keeps saying something about her husband Ralph. Well, we ain't seen Ralph yet. I don't know if Ralph is ever going to appear. I think she's just telling Wanda this so Wanda doesn't get suspicious. I don't know, because she just keeps talking about Ralph, but people are really saying, is Ralph Mephisto, which he might be. We don't know at this point. I don't think they'll bring in a big bad Disney villain right in the very first start of this new phase. So maybe we will never see Ralph. Let me know what you think who Ralph might be. Then there was, I think, one thing that she said one time was something about like June 2nd, something about like Ralph doesn't remember our anniversary unless it has like a bottle on it and it says June 2nd or something like that. And then people in the comics, or people who are really into the comics, are saying June 2nd got something to do with like a devil day or something that happened. So I have to look more into that, but I don't know the full extent of that yet. Flash forward, they're basically at dinner. This is where it gets kind of weird. They're sitting here at dinner. Mrs. Hart, she started asking Wanda so many questions, just like Agnes did. I feel like in this pocket reality, that was her moment of confusion and clarity. She's just stuck. And she's sitting there, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Hart starts choking. And it gets really weird from there. That's when it kind of gets kind of horror type, because Mr. Hart's starting to choke, and literally He's literally choking for like a good 20 seconds while Mrs. Hart is literally looking at her saying, "Stop it." Now, at first, it sounded like she was like, "Stop it." She was saying it to her husband, Mr. Hart, and he was just being a fool. That's what we thought at first. But the more she said it, the more she kept looking at Wanda, and it was like she was signaling or telling Wanda to stop what she's doing in this pocket reality. In my mind, I feel like Wanda is in this pocket reality, and then while she's looking at Vision, she's staring at Vision, and she's staring at this man choking, and it's like she don't want to hurt anybody in her mind. That's not what she wants to do. So she's like looking at it, and then she finally has like this clarity. She's just like, "Vision, save him." And then Vision goes and saves. After Vision saves him and exposes his power to them, they really act like nothing happened. They act like it was like none of that just happened. Literally, Mr. and Mrs. Hart just got up and start saying their goodbyes, and they start doing their sitcom 50s thing. And I'm just like, so that's it. Before we get on to the second episode, in the first episode, we did have a commercial. We had a commercial moment, like an infomercial type thing. And we have this toaster being featured as like the commercial item on the TV screen, and it's a Stark Industries toaster. And what got me was the beeping on the toaster sounded like a bomb. It sounded like tick 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 boom. Her family was blowed up in the comics and in the movie, so that I think that has a nod to that, and they're trying to give us a clue for something else. And then also in the next episode, we have another commercial, and it features those same two people who were in the first commercial with the toaster. Now I don't know who those two people represent. I don't know really who they are. I would have to read more and get more into it, and hopefully y'all can tell me in the comments. At the end of Mr. and Mrs. Hart leaving, we did have Wanda and Vision now going to the couch, and Wanda is saying how they are an unusual couple, how they don't have a wedding anniversary, how they don't have a wedding song, how they don't have wedding bands. And then Vision is like, well, let's go down this list. And he's like, how about the anniversary be today? And then she's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, well, how about, our song will be, I think it was like Yik Yak or something. And I think that's a clue in itself, but I don't know what the clue is in that one. And also he was like, well, can't you make us wedding bands? And then they did a very sitcom like wedding band Bewitched moment where like it gave me very much Bewitched vibes, because it's like something just appeared like a frame second late or something like that. So I did like how they introduced that to the mix. Closing credits, and then it gives a hexagon shape, which I think the hexagon shape got a lot to do with everything. You got to remember, WandaVision gives you clue after clue after clue after clue. It pans out to somebody watching them and writing something down on a notepad. Now you have to pause and get into that frame, because it then introduces what everybody knows from the trailers. It introduces SWORD. Now, SWORD is basically the Sentient World Observation and Response Department. Now, they are basically like, let's just say they are basically the new SHIELD. Basically, SWORD's purpose is to deal with extraterrestrial threats that try to, hurt people on Earth. We see SWORD's logo everywhere in the first and second episode. Now we are in episode 2. Now episode 2, it gets very good. Now remember, we are now like trying to play homage to the 60s era. So episode 2 gave me very much Bewitched vibes the entire time. It gave me like the Bewitched sound effects, the theme music, and the theme song, and the intro to the episode was very Bewitched themed, and it was very nice seeing those different elements. So I'm thinking maybe every episode we're going to get a different intro, which is so cool to see how Marvel and their talents of just doing that. So the episodes open up with Wanda and Vision sleeping in these twin beds at night, and then they hear this weird knocking noise or like banging noise against their house window. So they're kind of worried and kind of trying to see what is going on. Then Wanda does her little magic, and it comes to find out it's like a tree banging into the window. But some people have so many other theories that it could have been something else. Like, we hear these banging noises multiple times in this episode, and I'm thinking it might be people trying to get into this force field that Wanda has created for herself. I think maybe she has this strong ass force field, and people are trying to get in it, and that's why you keep hearing this banging. We get into them two basically figuring out what it is. is. We do see that it's a tree branch, and they giving us this very bewitched comedy. And then she makes the two twin beds a master, and they cuddle and they get under the covers. First of all, Disney, Marvel, here we go again with some more dark humor. We see them setting up to do this magical act and peep out the big old drawer cabinet situation that Wanda rolled out, because if you look at it, it looks just like Vision's Mind Stone that is in his head. I think it was giving homage to that very much. Anyway, Vision and Wanda are trying to figure out what they're going to do with this magical act to do this fundraiser for the children that we haven't seen. Wanda goes out and she sees this helicopter. Now, we talked about the helicopter already a little bit, but she sees this helicopter, which we think is the helicopter from Sword, trying to help Wanda and trying to get in, and it was full of color. It was one of the things that were all color, and we see Wanda looking at it very oddly, very strangely. And you remember when I told you guys she has these weird come-to moments where she, like, I guess, comes to grasp with what the hell is really going on. Agnes comes in, distracts her, and I think it was alleged. I think it was on purpose. I think she wanted to make sure Wanda doesn't think about that too much and think about what is really going on in the world too much, because then she'll come to completely. So Agnes came in, distracted her, and gave her her pet rabbit, who is Senor Scratchy, who I think has nods to do with the devil and Mephisto and all that good jazz. And then her and Wanda are now going to some meeting for the fundraiser that they're about to have for the children. While they're walking down, basically Agnes is trying to tell Wanda, like, look, I'm about to introduce you to Dottie, woman that everybody worships, and you got to be cool with her to be cool in the neighborhood type of vibe. And when she said, how about I just be myself, you see Agnes get very serious very quickly. Agnes gets very serious. She's like, what is going on, girl? I don't want you to do that. So it's kind of like, you can definitely tell Agnes is definitely trying to keep something from Wanda and trying to make sure she puts Wanda in a certain pathway. We are now at this meeting that they're having for the fundraiser for these children that we never see, and we get introduced to different women and the women of the neighborhood and all the husbands' wives and stuff. Now, I don't know everybody particularly. Let me know in the comments if you know what's going on with each and every one. Monica Rambeau's character, who is the daughter of Captain Marvel's best friend. They were Captain Marvel's best friend in the first Captain Marvel film. Daughter, Monica Rambeau, is now grown up. Now, we don't know really what Monica Rambeau is doing there. I believe she's working for Sword in some type, way, or fashion, because if we go back and look at Captain Marvel, she was around back there when there was the Skrulls, and we do remember how the Skrulls were basically turning into Samuel L. Jackson and different characters at the end of Spider-Man, I believe. Then see her character be introduced to Wanda, and it's funny because when she asked her what's her name, she came up with some fake name real quick. Then comes up with this name Geraldine off the whim, like she had to think of something real quick. So in my mind, it got me thinking: did she get into this pocket reality somehow, and now she's trying to help Wanda realize what is really going on? And maybe when you enter this pocket reality, you're now controlled by Wanda, so you really don't know what's going on. Maybe that's why she said she don't know why she's here. I don't know. That's something to speculate over. Anyway, her and Monica Rambeau have these little conversations while Dottie is trying to tell them what they're going to be doing and how they need to do this and how they need to do that. They're not really paying any attention. But you do need to pay attention to Miss Agnes, though. There was one line during that meeting where Dottie says, "The devil's in the details, Bev," and she was talking to one of the housewives, and then Agnes goes and whispers in Wanda's ear, and she's like, that's not the only place he is. So I'm like, what is going on? Is she trying to be like malicious and hint at who she's working for, who is Mephisto? What is really happening? And we flash forward to Vision going into this gentleman neighborhood watch meeting, and it was really just the husbands gossiping about random things, about what they figured out at work or at the house or stuff like that. And then they offer Vision some big red gum, and then Vision is an android, a robot machine, and he takes this, and the whole comedy factor of this episode was the gum gets caught in Vision's gears, and now Vision is acting drunk and disorderly. Then we flash back to Wanda having this meeting. Now Wanda is cleaning up the whole meeting scene with Dottie. Dottie's not cleaning, but she's definitely, having her words to say. Dottie then goes to say, I know about you and your husband. I know what you're doing, and something like that. And you see Wanda kind of get scared because I guess she's trying to defend of their powers. Then Dottie's looking at her and she's like, I don't believe you. Like, she basically telling her, I don't believe you. Then we cut to the radio that's just sitting there on the table, and you start to hear this music, and then you start to hear this chatter, and you hear white noise, and you hear someone trying to speak through the radio, trying to signal something. It sounds just like Jimmy Woo, who is played by Randall Park, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, as, the cop, the detective, who was, making sure Scott Lang was on house arrest the entire time, and they were doing all that. So apparently, I guess Jimmy Woo now works for Sword in some type way or fashion, and he's trying to get through with Wanda. I'm guessing doing with the trailers, you see like they have tents and stuff set up outside of this red energy force field that we're going to assume is what Wanda is doing. And you see and you hear Jimmy Woo hopefully saying, Wanda, can you hear me? Wanda, who is doing this to you? What is going on? And then Wanda has another come to moment where she's starting to realize what is actually going on. I feel like what happened in that scene, in her mind, she don't want this to happen. She don't want to come to fully. So she stopped it. And then all of a sudden the radio like explodes, and then it scares Dottie. And then Dottie clenches her glass and ends up breaking the glass. And now her hand is showing red blood in this black and white show. Then Dottie goes and tells her, Wanda, pop quiz. How does a housewife get blood stains out of white linen? And then she's like, you do it yourself. So I don't really know what that was referencing, but I really wish y'all let me know in the comments maybe like what is going on with that, because I really would like to know. We flash forward to Vision and Wanda having this whole magic act, and they are basically, it reminds you, Vision is still drunk and off his gummy gear. So he's acting wonky this whole time. He's really threw out the entire plan of what they were going to do out the window, and he's now showcasing his real powers. So we see him showcase his real powers, and then Wanda is basically trying to make sure the audience doesn't think this is him showcasing real powers. She's trying to trick the audience to make it think like it's an illusion. So she's like adding in different things to make it seem like this is how he's doing this and this is how he's doing that. The Agnes, of course, bringing up Ralph again. Dottie announced that they won this whole little charity situation. They did all this for the children, but remind you, it's not no children there. So I believe they're all trying to get Wanda to think in her mind have children. I think that's what they want, because I believe, remind you, I think Agnes is a villain, and I think she is working with Mephisto, and they are trying to get Wanda to create these two twins magically so then Mephisto can use them to his advantage. I think that's what's going on. Let me know. Remind you, I'm not no super geek. I'm just a big fan, and I'm learning as I go. Basically, they get home, they sit back on the couch like they did at the end of the very first episode. They're doing the same thing with the second episode. Next thing you know, Wanda gets up, and now she's magically pregnant. And her and Vision are looking at each other like, what is going on? What is happening? We have her and Vision basically now accepting that they are now pregnant, and then we hear a weird noise again. They go outside, and they see this man coming out of the sewage drain from the middle of the street, and this man he has a beekeeper uniform on with hundreds of bees surrounding him, and he just stares at Wanda. And then it's like Wanda has another come to moment, and she's like, she's sitting there, and she, in her mind, I feel like she's like, this is not what I wanted, this is not what needs to happen right now. So all she says is no, and she literally rewinds time back, and I'm just like, wait a minute, girl, wait, what is going on? So basically, Sword is really trying to get into help Wanda. I really feel like at this point, Sword is hammering to get into where Wanda is to help her out. She rewinds time back to where her and Vision just realize that they're pregnant, and she's like, is this really happening? And then Vision's like, yes, my love. And then all of a sudden, boom, we have color. We see the entire place, I guess the entire neighborhood become color, but all we saw was the house. Everything is now color, and we are now entering this 70s era. And so hopefully within the third episode, we see what's going on 70s wise, and we see more of the story. So you guys, y'all really need to get into it. Please leave in the comments how y'all felt in watching these two episodes. I know my review was kind of all over the place in my breakdown, but I was just so excited to get on here and talk about this episode with you guys. So please, please, please let me know how y'all are feeling. Let me know what y'all are feeling about this episode. Let me know what I missed out on, you guys. And I remind you again, I am not one of those super geeks where I know everything. I wish I was. I'm just a big, big Marvel fan, and I want to come in here and express my love with Marvel and the series with you guys and do something new on the channel. So let me know how y'all felt about this. Let me know if y'all like this, and please leave a like, please leave a comment. Follow me on all my social medias at Victor A Dawson, and make sure you hit that subscribe button too. That wouldn't hurt. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.